In the dim light of the fading evening, Sarah and Mark pulled up to the old farmhouse at the edge of town. Their cleaning business had taken them to many places, but this one felt different. The isolated house loomed eerily against the backdrop of the setting sun, surrounded by gnarled trees that seemed to whisper secrets in the wind. They had been asked to do the job only that morning, having received a call from the owner of the house, a middle-aged woman with a raspy voice. She said that her house was in desperate need of a cleaning, and she wouldn't be home until late that night, so they would have the house to themselves to clean. They decided to accept the last-minute job. As they entered the house, a chill ran down their spines. The air was thick with the scent of decay and something metallic and unsettling. Ignoring their unease, they set to work, determined to finish quickly and leave. But as they moved from room to room, they noticed strange things. Dark stains on the floorboards, scratch marks on the walls, and a pervasive sense of dread that seemed to seep into their bones. They tried to convince themselves it was just their imagination. Maybe the woman had owned a pet that caused these damages. But the feeling of unease only grew stronger. Then they stumbled upon a locked door in the basement. The woman had said she wanted her house cleaned from top to bottom, but since the door was locked, they figured that it must be an exception. They welcomed anything that meant they could leave the eerie house any sooner. Continuing on, Sarah pulled out a feather duster and began dusting any hard-to-reach shelves and ledges. It was when she dusted above the locked door that a key tumbled atop the ledge of trim and landed at her feet. Against their better judgment, they opened the door, revealing a chilling sight. Inside was a short staircase leading to a small room that appeared to have been crudely dug out of the soil underneath the farmhouse. At the bottom of the stairs was a makeshift torture chamber, complete with chains, knives, and other gruesome tools. Before they could react, they heard footsteps behind them. Turning, they came face to face with the lady of the house, her eyes gleaming with madness. She had been watching them all along, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. With a blood-curdling scream, she lunged at them, wielding a gleaming blade. Sarah darted to the side just in time, but Mark hadn't moved fast enough. The deranged woman knocked into him, sending him flying backwards down the stairs and landing with a loud thud. The woman then turned her attention to Sarah, who had been temporarily stunned by what she had just witnessed. As her senses came back to her, she turned and fled towards the kitchen, the woman in close pursuit. Sarah grabbed a vase from the kitchen counter and swung it at the woman's head, but the woman was too quick. She brought her arm up to catch the blow, then shoved Sarah to the ground. She raised the knife, aiming for Sarah's head. Then bang, and the woman fell limply to the ground, leaving Mark standing behind her. Despite having multiple broken bones from his fall, he managed to make it back up the stairs just in time to sneak into the kitchen and grab a frying pan off the stove. Helping Sarah to her feet, they both cried and hugged. Then together, they dragged the unconscious woman to the stairs and pulled her into the basement, locking the door afterward. They then called the police as they got in their car and drove off, not bothering to collect any of their cleaning supplies. They later learned that the police had gone to the house and checked it over from top to bottom, but although they found the secret basement room still locked when they arrived, there was no sign of the deranged woman inside. The torture devices were also gone, with the exception of one lone steak knife lying in the middle of the otherwise emptied room. Further research by the police also determined that the old house had been abandoned for several years after the last known owner had mysteriously disappeared. In the end, the lonely farmhouse stood empty once more, as a grim reminder of the darkness that lurks in the most unexpected places.